Hey everybody, Mike with Games Played Badly, and today on session 0 I have Chantel Jones. Now she has created several different modules for the D&D osric system. So osric is similar to the first edition rules of D&D, which has become very, very popular. She has a new one coming out, and that one is called the Temple of Set. I talked to her about that module and some of her other creations, as well as she has a pretty amazing announcement, and I'll just say if you like Halloween, you'll really like this one. And I also have my Gem Firefly shirt on. Matt made these for me with our logo on them. He's fantastic. If you like this shirt or any of the other ones I've worn for any of the interviews that I've done, go up to gemfirefly.com and at checkout, go ahead and put in our code BADLY15, B-A-D-L-Y 15 for 15% off your order. As always, I want to say thank you for who follows me on Twitter, follows me on Facebook, and has subscribed to this channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you like the video, throw a thumbs up because that really helps us as well. I really do appreciate everything that you guys do. We have a new website, gamesplayedbadly.com. Check that out because that has basically all the videos that we put up and might be a little bit easier to search than YouTube. But make sure to hit that subscribe and like button. I really appreciate it. Chantel Jones is fantastic. I can't wait for you to meet her. That interview starts now. Hey Chantel, how are you?
I'm still good. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited. I watched your show about the war, one of the first shows you did, and I'm excited to be here.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for watching. I love to hear that. So you have a pending project. Actually, you have a slew of stuff that you're going to be doing and have already done, but why don't you tell me about your current project?
So my current projects right now are for first edition and osric, the Temple of Set. It is the fourth adventure in the Final Dream Saga. It's just a compilation of 5 adventures that I'm doing. This one is the 4th one. It's almost ready to be published.
Ooh.
And the other adventure is a Ravnica adventure. So it's a 5e adventure set in Wizards of the Coast Ravnica setting.
I'm curious to ask with the Ravnica stuff, were you a Magic player or are you a Magic player?
I am a Magic player. Here's the deal about Magic. I really like the legacy format. I like the old cards. I like being able to do what I want. But where I live, EDH is really big with the people I play with. So I'm not buying as many cards as I used to because I'm just building EDH decks now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I still play, but not as much just because the format is not as fun to me. However, Ravnica is probably my favorite second Magic the Gathering set. So when they released the Guild's Master Guide to Ravnica, I was all over that.
Well, so now this being the second one, what's your first?
Kamigawa.
Not familiar.
So Kamigawa, here we go.
Are we deep diving now?
Kamigawa is the, what's the proper word? Kamigawa is Wizards Magic setting that takes place in Rokugan. And they promised that we would never go back there again because it almost broke up their company. And then last winter, we returned with Neon Dynasty, and it was one of their biggest selling sets of all time.
Yeah, I've been out of the Magic game just a little bit. I can't even tell you what set I stopped collecting at, but at one point in time as an adult, I was like, put it this way, as a kid, we would go and we'd buy a box and split it between us. As an adult, I was like, I have the money to do that all on my own. So needless to say, my first set was Unlimited, I think.
Okay.
Back in the day. And then shortly there followed up by Arabian Nights and Ice Age and all that stuff. So I have about 6,000 Magic cards. and I have no desire to play whatsoever anymore. So it's just all the different mechanics and the changes, and if you want to play a tournament ready deck, or what I like about EDH, and I think what a lot of people do, is you can use your old cards.
Yeah.
And you don't have to, there's not a lot of restrictions. I mean, it's not, obviously a Black Lotus isn't going to find its way into an EDH deck, but yeah, so, well, that's fun. So the Temple of Set, why don't you tell me more about that?
All right. So, I mean, right off the bat, I have decided that I'm going to convert this to 5e when I'm done, which I don't know yet, because now that Goodman Games has their thing coming out, it might cause problems. I don't know. However, here's the deal. In the first adventure, the King's Castle, you go down a coal mine and there's an undercity. And in the city, there's 3 temples: the Temple of Zeus, the Temple of Golden Nuts, and the Temple of Set. And I realized that in Egyptian mythology, Set is not the god of the underworld. However, this temple is full of undead monsters and traps that if you fail your save versus death, you will die.
Do you then do, as a DM, do I play that person as a monster, or as a zombie now, or are there rules for that? Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it would be kind of a slap to the face to anybody who dies, right?
The DM. I would. If you died in my game, your character is mine now.
Yeah. That was immediately I think about that stuff. But anyway, I have kind of a sordid sense of humor. So how long did it take you to create this?
Oh, wow. I have been working on this project since I was in high school, and that was a long time ago. Long time ago.
So these are all things that have been wrapped in your head, and you've decided to put them out on paper.
Well, yes. And then, I've written and rewritten and rewritten again and rewritten some more.
Right. Well, I mean, are these based on adventures that you've had with groups?
Oh no, these are my own things.
Okay. Yeah, because I know some people kind of write from like almost a play testing standpoint. But
yeah, no, one of my adventures that I have already written, Castle Roan, was actually the first adventure that I played in as a character player. My buddy I went through my buddy's adventure, and then he passed away while I was serving my church mission. And when I came home, got all of his stuff. And when I was opening boxes, there were the maps for this adventure. And I was like, I'm going to take these, I'm going to write it just the way he had it, and then I'm going to publish it.
That's awesome. I obviously a tribute to him.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So have you play tested this at all, or?
The Temple of Set, I have not yet. But the other ones have been, they still need work. It's an ongoing process. I mean,
yeah, I wouldn't expect you to drop everything at once. I mean, as a DM myself, I understand how difficult it is to create. So
yeah. And Ravnica, the Ravnica game, I've had two groups test playing it as I've been writing. And I've just come to the conclusion that I'm going to write it, and whatever your group does with it is totally up to you guys. Every test group I have had for the Ravnica Avenger has gone totally in a different direction.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of D&D in a nutshell, right? I mean, if you're a DM and you have a linear path for somebody, they're going to branch it out and break it. So
yeah.
So yeah. I mean, that's why it's fun to it's fun to play, and B, I think it's fun to be a DM, because curveballs, if you can't take a curveball, then you have no business being a dungeon master.
Right.
Or a game runner in general, Yeah.
No, I like those curveballs, especially when they're things that you haven't thought about. Like the first time we did the Ravnica adventure, I'm like, okay, here's the scenario, and the player's like, I cast charm. Okay, you charmed him. He turns himself into the authorities. I'm like, okay, great. Thanks for breaking the game. Now go explore the city.
Right, exactly.
If your job is to work for the bad guy and you convince him to turn himself in, game over, man.
Yeah, that is. Oh man, I can only imagine. There has to be a level of frustration with that.
Just a little.
It's
But
like,
like
okay, let me just throw away 3 hours worth of work, you know?
that's the great thing about Ravnica though, is that it's like, I don't know, there are some adventures like I don't know, Keep on the Borderlands, that if you're
Mhm.
not on those railroad tracks, it is game over. But
Mhm.
Ravnica is such a massive city that you're just like, okay, that adventure failed. Go figure out what you want to do.
Hmm.
And I will react to your actions, and you know,
Yeah, build it as
maybe
you
something
go.
good will come out of it.
Right. Well, see, and I've never played in the Ravnica setting. Is it something that a non-Magic player would get or get absorbed into, or is it more is there? Yeah, I don't know. I never bought them because I'm not much of a Magic player anymore. But
That's a really good question. I think you could get into it
hmm.
as a non-Magic player. I would suggest that maybe, I think that if I was going to run a game and knew that there was potential for people to not know what's going on, for example, when I posted, hey, I'm creating this thing, I need test players, here's the deal, I would separate the non-Magic players from the Magic players,
Mm-hmm.
because the Magic players that know the lore, that get into the city, that understand right out the gate that there are 10 guilds and which guild does what,
Mm-hmm.
might deter the non-Magic players from, like, I want them to have their experience,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want it to be dictated by someone. Like, if you want to betray your guild master, go for it.
Yeah, I think there are probably a lot of Easter eggs built into Ravnica that Magic players would get, and probably a lot of things people be like, "Oh my god, that's cool! I'm glad they put that in."
Yeah. Like in one of the group in the first game, they were in a bar that was so horrible that it didn't even have a name, and there was a poster on the wall that Jace Bannerin was wanted
Mhm.
by these people, and one player was like, okay, let's go find the guy, and the other player's like, I don't know if we want to get into something this deep. Jace Bannerin is
Mhm.
like the living guild pact. If something happened to him, the world might fall apart.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, there's definitely going to be some meta information there if you're a Magic player.
Yeah.
So now, are you outside of Ravnica? Have you explored other ways to kind of utilize some of that Magic knowledge?
Ooh. No, not really. I have used the magic knowledge to not buy products. Like Strixhaven, it's like I didn't want to buy the Strixhaven book because, first of all, it wasn't a very good magic set, and why would I want to do that in D&D?
Mhm.
And like the I don't know the whole title of the name, but the Theros book that they wrote, it's just the Greek gods with
Mhm.
a spin of magic on it. So I don't really like Theros. The magic set was a great story, but I don't need, like, I already have a lot of D&D books with the Greek mythos in it. I can just
Mhm.
make my own.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with there's an old book out there called Deities and Demigods.
Yes,
One of my
there
favorite
is.
books, just because I used to read through it all the time. I always played clerics, and so I would go through that thing constantly. I'd always try and pick something weird that the DM would kind of trip up the DM when I when I
So
joined the church.
I use it a lot. Like, I love that book. I don't pull it off the shelf as much because it is a first printing, so it still has the Cthulhu mythos in it.
Hmm.
So I use Legends and Lore more, but
Right.
there's still, like, I was looking through it the other day. Demigods and Deities doesn't have the Norse gods in it.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't. To be honest, I don't think I have a copy. I have one of the old Fiend folios and things like that. But I
Okay.
don't. I think that might be one of the books I don't have. You know, back in the day when we were all younger and playing, not we couldn't afford stuff like that. So
Right.
I typically would split the books up. Like the DM would have the DM's guide. That was their thing, and maybe a PHB, and that was it. And then everybody else kind of bought what they thought was going to be central to their character. So I bought I used to play a lot of dwarves back in the day. So there was a dwarven handbook for second or third edition that I got, and some other stuff. So, but yeah, I don't pull the Fiend Folio off the shelf very much either, and I don't think I have a Deities and Demigods, but I do remember really enjoying it, especially the artwork.
Yeah. I
That old
used the
school black and white
a lot.
artwork was awesome.
I used the 2 monster manuals a lot. I do work on 3.5, so I have a lot of those monster books. There's still
Mm-hmm.
some that I'm missing, but I have the Fiend Folio and Monsters of Faerun.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Okay, so speaking of artwork and the amazing artwork in Deities and Demigods and a lot of the old school and new school D&D books, what's the artwork look like in your project?
Oh man, they look like there is no interior art. And I realize that this is an interview and they're going to be able to see it. But for these, my daughter is really into art and I paid her to do it because I want her
Nice.
to grow and practice and not lose that desire that, you know, that comes with every kid is an artist until they're told they're not.
Sure.
I want her to believe that she is, and if she doesn't want to do it anymore, that's her choice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to let somebody else dictate. So
Agreed.
I pay her for the cover art, and then I have a guy that I send them to, and he makes the thing that goes on the PDF and the cover. But I do have projects that I have other artists to. There's a Ravnica. I don't know about. Okay, so the one I'm working on now is going to have character art for some of the characters in it, and then the next project after that for Ravnica has a lot of art in it that I just find people on the internet and your art looks cool. How much do you charge? Cool, let's do something. Phil Stone. I'm going to get Phil Stone to do some art for me. Eventually.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean there are so many good artists out there. There was just one of the guys that I interviewed for, it was Braith, I think. I just posted something about his kind of nightmare finding artists and then finding out that artists were sending him like Photoshop stuff that was somebody else's, but they changed it.
Oh
and
man,
all sorts of stuff, and it was heartbreaking. So artwork is by far the most expensive part of any project, and
it
to have
really
somebody
is.
do that to you, it's terrible. So I'm glad your daughter is working for you.
Yeah.
Well, that's very good. So outside of what you have right now, I know the Ravnica stuff is something you're working on. Where big picture, where do you see yourself going with this?
Oh man, big picture. Big picture is that I'm going to rule the world one game store at a time.
There you go. I like
Now
it.
that means I will have my products in the game stores, and I will own a few game stores. And I just want everybody to have a good time.
Sure, absolutely. It's literally in the title of the store, game store, right?
Right.
So everybody
And
should have fun.
you really should. And I want everybody to have fun. And big picture. Oh, there's so much. I really having a hard time keeping this secret a secret. But if you go to patreon.com/the swamp, I don't know how backslashes work. I just copy and paste.
Right.
Yeah. And then find the one that says welcome to October 2022. Every month I lay out what my plans are. October is really big because that's when I lay out, like that's when Patreon started for me. So I lay out, here's what I'm doing in the next year.
Cool.
Every month I do this thing called Adventures in Music. I pick a song and say, this is what I would do with this adventure. Starting in October, there hasn't been, do that every week. There hasn't been a venture in music because I have something really big coming and I am so excited about it. It's hard to not keep it a secret. So because it is public information, my Patreons can't get mad at me. Here's what I'm doing. On October 31st, the adventure in music is going to be called, it's the song called Every Day is Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it's by Ministry. I don't remember. But starting on October 31st, I'm going to do either a character sheet, a character concept, a monster concept, every day for 365 days.
Oh, wow. That's a huge undertaking.
It's going to be so big because I do this thing in January that I do a character sheet every day for, usually it's 1st and 5th. Sometimes I'll throw in a 2nd, or I'll make a character sheet for a game that's completely not Dungeons and Dragons. So there's that. And I'm working on 4 projects next year. So it's going to be huge, but it's going to be
awesome.
Fun. Because at the end of the adventure, at the end of this adventure, 365 days of Halloween, there's going to be a brand new adventure coming out that is going to be really big. It's Dracula's Castle, and there are some stories that Dracula's Castle has 99 levels to it, and you can't get out unless he wants you to get out.
That sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
Here's 99 levels of you can't get out of my house. Have fun.
Yeah, right. I see a lot of broken pencils around the table.
Yes.
Well, Chantel, it was awesome for you to come on and speak with me today. I'm really intrigued, especially by your 365 Days of Halloween. If you want more information about that or any of Chantel's creations, links will be down below, so you'll have access to everything that she's done. So as always, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate that, and please come back when you have more projects.
Yeah, I will. And I feel like watching, like, we should be supporting each other. It's hard in this community, rather it be the D community or the YouTube community or the Warhammer community. It's hard. So we should be communicating or supporting each other. Plus, I just think it's a good practice that you should know the person that you're going to be chatting with before you go be on their show. Make sure it's a fit for both parties. So
absolutely,
it's got dual purposes, but it was a really good show.
I'm glad. Yeah, I've just like you, I've met so many great, creative, talented people that I never would have met otherwise. And I'm thankful that folks decide that they want to spend a little time with me on my little channel so we can sit and talk about stuff that they're passionate about. So I really do appreciate the time.
Thank you so much. I also appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad that you're excited about 365 Days of Halloween. There's going to be so much stuff, and a lot of it is going to be free. So check it out. And I'm so excited. Like, Halloween is my jam.
Is it?
And I love Ravenloft because it is like, oh man, it's just, we could spend a whole hour just talking about Halloween and Ravenloft, and we would just be scratching the surface. But I've done a lot of stuff and I enjoy what I do, but I am super excited about this project.
Yes, it sounds like it, and I'm excited for you. So that excitement is contagious. So when people come on here and talk about their projects, they have such passion about them. It really does. It motivates me, and I think it motivates our viewers to go and check them out as well. So again, I appreciate you coming on, and again, let me know if you need anything from me.
I will do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.